everybody, Shanda Wright. So I put a post up today that actually was a concept that I learned from one of my mentors that says you have to make up for in numbers what you lack in experience. And then I had someone specifically ask, what does that mean? So I had to share with you how you can increase your experience and how, whether you're brand new or you're the top dog in your sales organization, that you can win and you can do it. And so I'll give you a bit of background on me. So Shanda Wright, ROI Done Right, where I believe in creating multiple streams of income, in building debt-free living, as well as in compounding your money so that your time can be spent doing what you want to do, not what you have to do to pay bills, because adulting. So the reason that I came up with this business and mantra and consulting company is because I literally have been in sales since I was, well, I mean, if you count the door-to-door Avon sales that I did at 10, then somewhere around there. But I was told that sales is the best paid profession in the world, that if you can learn how to sell, you can literally create your own economy, because all you have to do is go and sell someone on you, right? You can get a job, you can get a business, you can build an opportunity, you can create influence anywhere in the world. The people are people, and if we can learn how to communicate with people, then literally our skill set, our mindset, our whatever it is, like sales is really the key to what I saw as freedom. And so I started studying at a young age, and I remember once I was 19 and I was in a radio sales seminar, and everyone's like, who actually grew up wanting to be in sales? And I was the only one. But I come by it honestly. It's been 4 or 5 generations of salespeople in my company and in my family, and specifically women. My great-great-grandmother was a dynamic saleswoman. So that was always my dream. And so I've studied it very diligently, the process and the systems. And I'll just let you know, this is actually something Jim Pattison says. He's the richest man in Canada. He has built an amazing conglomerate. He will leave a legacy. He is on record of donating the largest single donation that's ever been made to a charitable organization. And he's amazing. So he's a great person to learn from. And he says that anything worth doing is worth tracking. So here's what happens. When you do something over and over and over and over again, then ratios start to appear. And as the ratios start to appear, you can understand what it takes to get where you want to go. So you can reverse engineer your goals. For example, when you're brand new, you might make 100 calls to get 1 appointment if they're cold leads. Warm leads, you're looking at 10 to 1. Typically, that's pretty common. And if you're experienced, you might 3, 5, 10 times that. However, how do you compete when you're the bottom guy? I actually started at the radio station at 19 years old, and I was handed a list that had done 30% of what they had projected. So I was literally starting with nothing in the yellow pages. And so I got to go, and it's kind of like, they call it hazing by fire, I think. They throw you into the deep end and just see who swims. And I thought it was exciting. It was one of the first opportunities I ever had to really see what I was made of. And so what happened is I had to do high volume number of calls before I could actually see the I have this little dog that you might see in the corner. She's very insistent right now that she be a part of this. Do you want to come be a part of this, Holly? Yes, she does. Okay, well, now we're having the joys of working from home, right? So she gets her attention needs met every day. So yeah, basically what would happen is you have to make more calls because you don't know how to do it. There are people who are experts at sales. Have you ever seen somebody who's excellent at it? You know, the people who have experience, who just show up, they understand how to communicate with people, they can speak about benefits and impact, and they know how to find your dominant buying motive and really serve you as a customer, and they make you feel like you're buying instead of being sold. Like the most beautiful experiences in the world. I've actually been in sales situations where I felt so seen and so heard that I actually cried. I was so grateful, to the point where I specifically have reached out to their manager and said, like, hey, who trained that guy? Like, just so you know. And like, I'll buy stuff from someone just because the pitch is good. It's just, I appreciate it so much. So what happens is when our ratios are 1 in 10 instead of 9 out of 10, you have to do more calls. But the most important thing is that you actually, that you monitor your ratios, because if you're not getting better, like, I remember it was one of my networking groups once upon a time that specifically said, do you have 10 years experience or do you have 1 year experience 10 times? And if your ratios haven't gotten better from the first week that you were in the business, and I don't care if you're in direct sales, if you're in business to business sales, if you're in telemarketing sales, if you're inbound, outbound, it doesn't matter. You need to track your ratios. How many dials to how many connections, how many connections to how many meetings, how many meetings to how many people actually showed up for the meetings and were up for the presentation, went through the presentation with you, and out of your presentations, where did you close? You can always find, when you track your ratios, where your biggest bottlenecks are. And that's what happened for me when I got really serious about 10xing my results. And I did it in 1 month, to the point where my boss actually at the radio station was like, Jen, are you sure you can handle all this? It's like 6 new annual clients in like a month or something. It was like, oh, this works really well. So, I was making 100 calls to get 10 appointments, and I would close maybe 2 or 3 of them. And by the end of some very specific training, because what I did is I took my ratios to a sales expert and I said, hey, this is my ratios. Can you help me improve them? Because the truth is I couldn't do more calls. I couldn't. So if there's no more time in the day and you want to make more money, you have to get more efficient and more effective. So first you have to track your ratios. And the best part is the newbie that knows that they get 1 out of 10 will often outperform the expert who gets 9 out of 10, because the 9 out of 10 guy gets lazy. He only does 10 calls. Whereas the person who gets 1 out of 100 is going to be hungry. They're going to be calling 100, 200 people because they're not going to leave it they're not comfortable. There's very few people, that's why they say the enemy of great is good. There's very, very, very few people who can actually do well and maintain a level of intensity once they get good at something. They tend to slack off, which gives us underdogs a chance to get it. So let's go. Like, I feel like that's what the millennials are here to do. It's just like, oh yeah, you guys want to be sleeping at the wheel? No problem. We'll pass you. Pass you at the, I'll pass you at the finish line and meet you at the grandstand. That's my motto. When you're tracking your ratios, you want to see where they are and you want to make sure you're improving them. And that's why I have a coach, is because if my ratios aren't improving, I'm not improving. And last year's 9 is this year's 7. I refuse to stay stagnant. The world continues to move. If you aren't adapting quickly, you're not going to continue to grow, expand, learn, contribute, have all the amazing things. You're just going to get left in the dust. And so whether it's, social media or it's sales or it's whatever, you just have to stay nimble and you have to stay on top of it. And so I have a coach who looks at my ratios consistently, and we always course correct, constantly course correcting until I have 100. The coaches that I learn from think that sales, direct sales or business to business sales is a little boring because they just close everybody. They're like, this is boring now. Can you at least try an objection? Imagine that. Imagine everyone you pitched says yes so easily. Imagine making money was so easy you got bored at the most effective thing that you do. That's literally my goal. And as I get close to it, then I always up the ante. So it's like, okay, well, how can we go to the next level? But you have to have a coach that can show you what's reasonable and what's expected. So this is the key, is that if your ratios are 1 out of 10 instead of 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, you just have to make 100 calls. But the best part is the muscle that will be built. And this is why wealth is built in the down economies, is because we have to work harder. And the people who are getting soft like marshmallows, they're not used to being under pressure and they don't know how to shine like a diamond in all this mess. So as the economy corrects and goes down, it's going to be the hard workers. It's going to be the tenacious ones. It's going to be the ones that are willing to not take excuses from themselves or others. And they're like, oh, I get 1 out of 10? Great, I'll call 100. Instead of the person that says, well, I used to get 9 out of 10 and now I'm only getting 5, and this economy, it's just the economy. No, go to work. And your ratios might have gone down because you got soft. And if things were great and you didn't improve, then that's on you. And this is a great opportunity to create some pressure and build some excellence in you, because really we need pressure. We need challenges. They are what make us better. So that's what I mean by acting. You need to make up for in numbers what you lack in experience. But I promise you, the people who diligently put in the numbers, those people will win every time. I don't care if your ratios are 1 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. It's the people doing the do. It's the people on the ground. It's the people in the trenches. It's the people that actually understand. They're the ones that can pivot. They're the ones that's why those big conglomerates don't move quickly and don't make adjustments very smoothly. And they don't want to, and they become archaic. And what happens is it's because the people making the decisions aren't the people getting the feedback from the ground. So the more contacts you make, the more people you meet, the more calls you do, the more objections you hear, the more information you gather about what's happening in the world, and the more that you can adjust. But how do you adjust to something you've never done, to go to a level you've never been to? And that's why, again, I have a coach. So, I do coaching in some ways. I don't coach on everything, but I do have a coach for everything. I think I currently have 10 on payroll. So, they all keep me in line and constantly correct me and keep me on the trajectory that I'm going, because I don't want to waste any time. I believe time is such a valuable resource, and we don't know how many days we have left here on this planet. And so, realistically, I don't want to waste a minute being off course of what my mission, vision, and purpose is in this world, and enjoying everything. Like, if it's not, I just want to enjoy all the good stuff. So that's why I have so many coaches, because I don't even want to take 10 steps off course, let alone, go down the wrong path for 5, 10, 20 years. So that's the process. And you want to make sure you're always watching your ratios and increasing them. And if you don't know how to do that, then reach out. I have some of the best coaches in the whole world. And if it's worth doing, it's worth tracking. So you can do this with anything. You can use this for sales. I totally, if you're a salesperson, you're not tracking your ratios, shame on you. That's literally ABC's 1, 2, 3s. And I know we get more focused on we get caught up in busy work. It's so easy to get lost and then to think, oh, I don't have time or whatever. But it's actually vital to your success. Any professional tracks their results. But going beyond that, you can track results with your kids. You can track results with your investments. You have to know where you're going in order to create benchmarks, in order to get there. Otherwise, you just end up setting the same New Year's resolution every single year, which I think, is just, oh, yuck, doing the same year over and over. So I'd much rather have 10 years experience than 1 year experience over and over again. And the only way to do that is to track it. So with that, I hope that whether or not you have experience, that you are making up for everything that's going on in the economy, in the world, by your sheer mass volume of numbers, and you are filling in any gaps of skill set with people who have what you want and know it inside and out, are willing to teach you and hold you accountable. And I'm so glad Holly joined us. This is so funny. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Shabbat Shalom from Nanaimo, British Columbia, and I will see you soon.